Howdy gamers and welcome back to the channel. It's spooky season again and it's a time of year when horror games crawl back into our playlist. But let me ask you this, have you ever wondered why even after almost a decade, Until Dawn still stands as the best horror game of its kind? Why is it that newer titles like the Quarry or the Dark Pictures Anthology, while fun for what they are, never quite reach the same level of storytelling mastery? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today, so stick around because by the end of this video, you'll see why Until Dawn still does something that no modern horror game has managed to replicate. Before we get too deep into the story side of things, let's be real. The gameplay across Until Dawn, the Quarry, and the Dark Pictures Anthology is practically identical. They're all cinematic, choice-driven adventure games, where you make split-second decisions that determine who lives, who dies, and how the story unfolds. You explore environments, interact with objects, solve light puzzles, and participate in quick-time events that usually decide the fate of your characters. It's that classic butterfly effect formula. Every choice has a consequence, even if you don't realize until much later. So when the gameplay is nearly identical, it only makes sense that what makes a narrative game great is, well, obviously the narrative. For the most part, all these games have a great story, except Little Hope. That one was a huge waste of my time for anyone who knows that ending. But the one thing that every single one of these games tries to capture without ever outright saying it is the mystery. Think about it. Whether it's a Quarry, Man of Medan, or Until Dawn, every one of these games starts the same way. You're dropped into a situation you don't fully understand, surrounded by characters who know just a little more than you do, and all you can do is piece things together while gathering clues. That's a heartbeat of these experiences. It's not just about who dies next, it's about uncovering why things are happening at all. And that's where so many of these newer titles start to fall apart. And spoiler warning for all these games coming up, so no complaining in the comments. Now my best and most recent example that struggles with the mystery execution was the Quarry. The prologue, like most of these games, start off strong. It pulls you in with its eerie tone, the car crash, and the strange sense that something isn't right. You're immediately asking questions. What was that thing on the road? Who's this overly suspicious cop? And why does he care so much about where you're going? It builds up perfectly, until it doesn't. The moment those teenagers decide to ignore the cop and go to the camp instead, the mystery just sort of unravels. Instead of letting that tension simmer, the game shows its hand way too soon. You find out almost immediately that it's some kind of monster story. Which to its defense, if you played all the games, 90% of them are monster stories anyway, so it's pretty easy to predict. But at this point in the game, players could still be completely wrong assuming it's just a monster story. Maybe it's something darker. Maybe the real twist was that the camp owners were trapping the kids for years, slowly turning them feral. Unfortunately, the story doesn't really let you sit with your theories for long. By the time you hit the beginning of chapter 3, maybe 2 hours in at most, the game flat out reveals that it's a monster hunting you. And just like that, the suspense evaporated. All those earlier breadcrumbs that made you wonder what was really going on, whether it was something supernatural or something horrifyingly human, gets tossed aside before they even have time to build the curiosity. Instead of slowly discovering the truth and letting players earn that reveal, the Quarry just hands it to you, leaving little reason to speculate or feel that creeping sense of dread that made Until Dawn so unforgettable. The way Until Dawn handles its mystery has clearly remained the best out of all these games. From the very beginning, it throws you into a confusion and panic without ever over-explaining what's happening. The prologue sets the tone perfectly. You're running through the snow, being chased by something you can't quite see until you and your sister end up dangling off of a cliff. That's when it happens. You spot a terrifying figure in a gas mask reaching out towards you. In that moment, you don't know if he's trying to save you or murder you. The camera lingers just long enough to make you second guess everything. Then before you can process it, you fall to your death. It's such a powerful opening because it gives you just enough information to start theorizing, but never enough to be certain. You don't know what's out there, who's responsible, or even what kind of story you're in yet. Then early on in the story, Until Dawn reveals itself to be this mix between a classic slasher and something straight out of Saw. You spend more than half of the game running from not one, but two killers, the guy in the gas mask and the psycho, trying to figure out who they are, what they want, and why everyone is being hunted. And then comes the twist, one of the best fake outs in any horror game. It turns out, bro, it's just a prank. Seriously, one of the characters orchestrated this entire setup to get revenge due to the other characters being partly responsible for his sister's disappearance. He never meant to actually kill anyone. It was all about scaring his friends into understanding the pain he felt. It's ridiculous, emotional, and strangely believable all at once, and it completely flips your expectations of what kind of story you're actually playing. At first, there's this huge wave of relief. You finally think you figured it out. No one was actually trying to kill you, it was just all an elaborate prank. But then something starts to feel off. The pieces don't quite fit together. If Josh was behind the slasher act and he only terrorized one half of the group, then who's been stalking the others this whole time? They've been in a completely different location, facing the same horrors, so who's behind their nightmare? That's when the dread creeps back in. The relief fades just as quickly as it came because you realize the man in the gas mask, the one you thought was part of Josh's prank, is still out there. Maybe the prank wasn't the only danger lurking in these mountains. Maybe he's the real killer. Suddenly you're thrown right back into survival mode, unsure of who to trust or what's actually happening. Eventually, one of the characters finds herself cornered by the man in the gas mask, now wielding a flamethrower. You're sure this is it. He's finally caught her and she's about to become his first victim, burned alive in some gruesome ritual, until suddenly he helps her up. In that moment of confusion, you barely have time to process what's happening before something absolutely horrifying moves in the background. Now terrified and alone, she runs through the mines, catching glimpses of long, distorted arms reaching from the darkness to attack her as something inhuman stalks her. It's fast, it's relentless, and by this point the player realizes that there's not one of these things, but several. Now you're even more confused. If it's not Josh, and if it's not the gas mask man, then who or what is it? The tension builds as she catches her breath behind the flimsy wooden door, the sound of scraping echoing through the tunnels. You think she's safe just for a second until the creature slams into the door, and that's when you see it. This horrific, pale, skeletal creature steps into the light for the first time. Its limbs are long and twisted, its movements inhumanly fast, its face stretched into something that barely resembles what was once human, the Wendigo. The reveal doesn't feel cheap or out of nowhere either. It's been foreshadowed the entire time through small details you probably overlooked. Everything clicks into place at once, and it's that oh my god moment that very few games ever deliver so perfectly. Now, I'm not saying that the other games didn't have an air mystery or that they were executed poorly, it's just that they weren't as good as Until Dawn. With the Quarry, you knew from the start that was a monster story. The real question was just figuring out how the Hacketts were involved. The Dark Pictures Anthology games each took their own spin on horror, but none reached the same level of mystery. House of Ashes felt like an action-packed suspense trying to capture the essence of the Alien movies. Super fun and probably my favorite out of the anthology, but more spectacle than mystery-filled. I'm just biased with my hate that Little Hope took me on this M. Night Shyamalan ride where it was all in his head, so I'm not going to waste any more time in my life talking about that game. Really, the only one I came close to Until Dawn's mastery of mystery and twist was Man of Medan. You spent most of the game believing monsters were actually hunting you, only to find out it was all hallucinations caused by a gas leak, slowly giving everyone heart attacks. That shared sense of discovery made every twist hit harder and every reveal feel earned. And that's a genius of Until Dawn. Just when you think the story is done messing with you, it pulls you right back into fear, letting you believe you've escaped only to show you that the real horror hasn't even started yet. That's the psychological uncertainty that keeps players hooked, questioning every single thing they see. Now, to be fair, the most recent games seem to have shifted focus. They've leaned harder into branching choices and the survival aspects as their main selling point, rather than building up a slow, intricate mystery like Until Dawn did. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you've seen any of my other videos, you already know where I stand. I'm a sucker for story-driven experiences first and gameplay second. Overall, Until Dawn is a 100-piece puzzle that keeps adding pieces right when you're about to finish it, and that's what I love about it. There you have it, a little rant about one of my favorite spooky games during the spookiest time of the year. But what do you think? Do you agree that the mystery is the heart of these kinds of games, or do you think that the real magic comes from something else entirely? Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have nothing else to do, you should go check out these videos if you're looking for more hot takes on your favorite video games. And as always, if you got any value out of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support means a lot and it helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, game on and happy Halloween.